Hey everybody, it's Matt and Dyan, and welcome to another episode in the podcasting series on Each Beautiful Day. Yes, it is, man. How beautiful is your day today?
Not so beautiful. We
Not so
won't
beautiful.
go there because that's another podcast, which
That'd be a whole season.
most likely they'll hear later.
Yeah.
And there's no point going into it because there's no outcome. So you will hear later.
It's an ongoing but not an outcome.
Ongoing, never ending,
Exactly.
but we'll come to an end and we'll share.
Well, welcome to the channel. If you're the first time here, a very big welcome.
Thank
Dyan,
you for subscribing,
Matt.
guys.
We are what are we?
Duo,
Ooh,
33 years.
33 years not out.
Not much, just 33
That's
years.
like 2 life sentences, really. But anyway, it is good. We have
They
done
say
exceptionally
that.
well. Now, you may have
Yes.
seen some of our shorts, some of our other sort of videos, or some of our podcast series.
We are a vlogging channel.
We are.
Mainly.
Yeah, we try to show the day-to-day
Normal
living
vlogging.
of what we do.
Normal vlogging.
Mainly you.
I just happen to be disabled, but it is normal vlogging.
Mhm.
Correct. Just in case you want to know what I vlog about, it's normally daily living,
Mhm.
just like any other vlogger. My special interest.
Get ready with me. Come shop with me.
Correct.
Don't go shopping with her because she's dangerous.
I'm a shopping addict. Shein hauls
Online shopping.
are always going to be a factor.
Yeah.
I have pretty much, and watch this space, if you are a bead
Yeah.
bracelet maker, I've started a shop.
A new collection, a new hobby, a
Whenever
new
you
activity.
give an ADHD access to a warehouse like Shein
Oh God, it's
and a
dangerous.
project that is
Oh.
so passionate,
Yeah.
like friendship bracelets that have beautiful positive sayings that just sing to my heart.
Inspirational, aspirational.
Right? They are absolutely the antithesis of what I stand for
Jesus.
since the day I was
That's a
born.
big
I
word.
have been a positive person. So these bracelets
Yeah, that's your new hobby now.
is my new hobby.
Watch out, watch
It's
your
a
space.
religion.
If you're into art and craft, and that's one of the other
It's a
aspects,
religion.
you do
I
your
will show
resin.
you my haul.
Yep,
I will
but you,
share my
we
haul.
just explain some of the things you video about. So you
I will
do
show
resin.
resin art. I'm
home
a resin
decorating.
artist. Home decorating.
Yeah,
and
crazy
much more.
cats, of course, as well.
Much more.
Indeed.
Plenty of cats. 2 of them at this point.
Yeah. Now you did touch upon the fact that you have got autism. So if you're not aware, Dyan
And
is
the
autistic
double
on the
whammy.
spectrum and the
ADHD.
good old ADHD.
That's what he doesn't like. Well,
who's he?
I mean, it affects his sleep schedule
Ah,
as much as
I'm
mine.
ADHD as well, but yes, my sleep schedule is non-existent because you don't sleep
Yeah.
as an autistic, do you?
No.
So today's conversation is really about
Since 1974.
when you were born, you haven't slept since. Since then,
There's plenty of reasons
not
for
only
that,
do
actually.
you have autism and ADHD, you've actually got a long laundry list of conditions,
where do you want to
symptoms,
start? Ask me
comorbidities,
a
coexisting
question.
conditions.
Because that's what I'm here to tell. So
Yeah.
you start the question.
Well, it's going to be a good conversation
What have
because
I got? What's my umbrella? How about we start with that?
the umbrella. I'm just doing the umbrella.
This is what the professionals say.
They do say.
But let's just talk people to people here.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I am not the only autistic that has a biological marker
Mm-hmm.
for my autism ADHD,
Genetical.
my Tourette's,
Mhm.
my seizures. I have genetic seizures, tonic-clonic, generalised, the whole lot. It's really great fun.
Yeah.
Wonderful fun.
Such fun. Not.
And many other symptoms, but hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos. But my umbrella diagnosis
Oh, the big thing.
under genetics
Yeah.
is I have 22q11.2 deletion syndrome.
A chromosomal
That
disorder.
is my umbrella term of my diagnoses.
So what are you missing?
I am missing up to 40 to 50 chromosomes.
Genes, actually. No.
Genes, sorry.
That's okay. I need to
Genes.
correct you.
It's a
if you don't mind.
chromosomal
Disorder.
syndrome, okay, and you're born with it. ADHD and autism is part of it.
Ooh.
Seizures is part of it.
Very expected to be part of it, isn't it?
Okay. Hypermobility is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Small stature, failure to
heart
thrive,
problems.
cleft lip,
Cleft
developmental
palate
disorders.
is a
Mhm.
really I've got a high palate, but cleft palates are common in this genetic syndrome.
Yeah.
But everyone, it's a little bit like a spectrum. You get up to 200 problems. So my problem with my palate is it's a high palate. And as a child, when I was feeding for the first 6 months, it was problematic and lack of sleep for my parents because my feeding and the colic, due to the highness of my palate, I was getting in too much air, and I kept them all awake for 6 months, and I've never lived it down. So anyway, a lot of other co-22Qers might have cleft palates. Very common for cleft palates, this syndrome. So, however, like I've just explained, I've got a high palate.
So a bit like autism though with 22Q, not everybody's the same.
Not everyone gets autism.
Not everybody gets the whole 200 range of different symptoms and conditions and side effects. Some have it worse, some have it
all depends.
better. Lucky if they
Correct.
do. There's a deletion and there's also a duplication syndrome.
And they're pretty similar.
There's many similarities.
And there's a lot of treatments that are exactly the same, but there is also differences.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
same, but different.
Wow, indeed.
So basically, it is a very rare syndrome, hence why you've probably never heard of it. And I was very late diagnosed, which was not due to what we would call a difficulty in diagnosing, incorrect, because before genetics there was diagnostic
absolutely.
Abilities.
Like microcephaly, measurements.
Correct. I
shape,
have microcephaly,
size.
which is, the 1 percentile of head size.
How big is the
So
head?
I have been basically neglected by the medical system. I've been missed, and it shouldn't have been. End of story. No excuses. There is no excuses. This was picked up before genetics existed. Anyway, genetics was picked up for me. It's 99.9% accurate. Nobody can argue it.
Absolutely.
So at the moment, I am under full-on heavy testing as if I've just been born.
Just too many. Lots of specialists.
Correct.
17 different specialists.
So
at
my
the last
heart
count at the moment.
has to be checked. And all the rest of
skeletal
it.
system, you name it.
Correct.
You're doing so many things, man.
So 22Q is the reason for all my other coexisting
So that's
conditions.
the umbrella term as you talk about.
And my comorbidity is what it is.
Mhm.
So for 22Q, our life expectancy is 20 to 25 years less than our peers of normal people. So my life expectancy is my 50s.
Great.
I'm turning 50. So naturally, as you can
This
imagine,
year. Happy
the reason
birthday.
for the list being this long, well, no, it's in May.
It's coming up.
The reason for my
It's
list
exciting.
being so long, under 22Q symptoms basically, is because I'm now turning 50. They've all popped up. So if someone is young, your body, just like any young person, does very well to manage what's broken. But as you get older, you get sicker. My immune system has always been
And you would have
bad.
noticed that in your development as
Correct.
infant to
I
childhood
had
to adolescence.
Deletion Syndrome, which is a severe allergy to mosquitoes. I had food allergies. Like I said, the high palate problems that caused
Autoimmune
feeding
conditions,
problems.
obviously.
I've had developmental delays, which are pervasive, global, whatever you want to describe them.
Yep.
Speech difficulties,
So that affected you at school.
learning disabilities, 3 of them, special
Dyslexia,
education,
dyscalculia.
selective
Dysgraphia.
mutism, so many problems. I have been a disabled person since the day I was born. I was born in a humidicrib in the ICU, and I feel like I've never left it. I
Yeah.
have always been plagued with sickness.
Indeed.
I got hit with glandular fever at 17, didn't recover. I've just had COVID. I'm not recovering.
Yeah.
I'm concerned, but
Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
You get post-viral syndrome from
Correct.
these events, and your whole immune system is compromised. You've got neutropenia,
which is a
susceptible.
big thing with 22Q,
Yeah.
hence why it's an umbrella.
So let's talk about autism, because autism
Yes.
is something which you focus on this channel. And there is a lot of similarities.
Yes, and ADHD.
And ADHD.
Yeah.
But with a lot of autistics, you see a lot of commonalities. You can...
Well, they have the chromosomal disorder. There's not just 22q is the marker for autism. It's just one of them.
Yeah.
There is so many chromosomal disorders, syndromes, whatever you want to describe them as, that have markers for autism.
So it's certainly worthwhile doing extensive genetic testing to
if you
explore
can get hold of
and
it.
find out. Not all countries have it available.
It's very expensive.
Some is very expensive, so there are
if
limitations
you can get
to
it
access.
for free, if you're in Australia, I would persist with trying to get, if you have a lot of symptoms and it's not adding up, and you know that you're sick, and your GP knows that you're sick, and you can't quite put your finger on it, and you've exhausted everything, genetics is the direction to go. It is not easy in Australia because of financials. Genetics is expensive, but I would advocate for yourself to try.
Now, you mentioned sleep along the way. I've seen a lot of commonalities in autistics, sleep issues.
I don't sleep.
GI tract related issues, hypermobility, eating
I have
disorders.
gastroparesis.
There's a whole range of similarities.
Yes.
That I've
So
seen.
I was presumed to be having an eating disorder from late teens. However, we've now discovered, as they discovered the latest research of anorexia, because I had the anorexia of not by choice to be skinny, it was just happening to me. Like, for whatever reason, I was not taking in the enough calories. Apart from interoception problems, didn't know if I was hungry or thirsty, didn't really care, didn't really monitor myself.
For autistics,
But basically, it has been discovered that motility issues is my causation, which is gastroparesis.
Yeah, so that's a paralysed stomach and GI tract, effectively.
Very common for 22q. It's very common for people with Ehlers-Danlos.
Now, that was the other thing I was just saying. Hypermobility is seen quite a lot with autistics, and you should look out for Ehlers-Danlos.
There's
there
a
are 14
correlation.
different types of Ehlers-Danlos.
Correct.
A lot of them cross
I haven't
over.
been tested yet. I'm hoping to.
But with 22q,
but it's expensive.
You get a confirmation that you've got hypermobility as
Correct.
part of your genetics
So
makeup.
they have to check
there's
my
an issue
heart anyway. So my heart has to be checked as if, I guess, like I'm heading into being 50. So think about it. Your life expectancy is 50s. I'm turning 50. They have to check me out to make sure that my heart is okay. And the sad fact is the symptoms are saying no. So in my 30s, I got angina. Not common for a 30-year-old, 30-something-year-old to get angina. Second to that, I ended up with a dangerous arrhythmia. Wasn't normal to get.
No.
So they've had to monitor that. Then it was discovered I had POTS. That
Postural or tachycardia
affects my
syndrome
daily
or
living.
orthostatic intolerance.
affects my daily living.
Well, yeah. You can fall over.
Yeah. So I used to faint as a child, teenager, adult, etc. So they discovered more heart problems along the way. Since having COVID, I've had, and they call it a certain spray, don't they?
It's an angina spray.
Yeah, so I've
obviously
had to have
an
this
emergency dosage.
every time I've showered, which is an exertion activity, and that's in a shower chair, supported
by myself.
showering by him washing my hair, him helping me bathe, still getting heart pain. So it's
takes a
being
lot out of you.
investigated. Obviously, the stress test, which is COVID, has shown something.
Yeah, and you're about to undergo some further
And
tests.
I also had something show up starting with an E in my sleep test.
Yeah, we were about to undergo more cardiac tests, unfortunately, to have a look at, because there's a lot
Correct.
of malformations that occur with your
Coming up in
22q. So we've got to look at SVTs, hole in the heart, those sort of things. So that's coming up very, very shortly. In fact, next week. So that's underway as we go.
I've already had an SVT before.
Yeah.
Arrhythmia is still there. When you were checking
Oh look, and you're always
through
brain
COVID.
cardiac. You're very, very low heart rate,
Correct.
resting heart rate, very
Which
low
is
resting blood
deceptive,
pressure,
but yeah.
etc. So those sort of things there. Fatigue is another thing which is commonly seen in autistics, but particularly with also 22q.
Yes.
And you've got fatiguing concerns.
Correct. So when I got glandular fever,
Hmm.
I developed a fatiguing condition. However, I remember being fatigued as young as 12.
Right.
I remember being fatigued as a child.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Now, when I spoke to my genetics team at Genetics WA, because I'm in Western Australia,
Mm-hmm.
when I mentioned the struggles with fatigue, they said that that's not uncommon for 22q. There's
Not at all.
multiple things that cause fatigue. So I get very tired very easily, and it is really disappointing for someone who used to be an athlete.
Hmm.
Believe it or not, I used
But
to be an
I want to
athlete.
put this into context. After your glandular fever,
Yes.
mononucleosis, CVD,
No more athletics.
that led to post-viral syndrome, but they then stepped into chronic fatigue syndrome or
Correct.
ME, myalgic
Well,
encephalitis.
first they called it post-viral.
That's right.
Then they said chronic fatigue.
Because it was more
Then
than
they
6
said
months.
MECFS.
Yeah.
It has changed.
And MECFS is actually a neuroinflammation, so it actually
Correct.
affects your brain and the inflammation that's going on there.
Yeah.
But your fatigue has actually put you out of operation. People don't get to see this because they haven't known you for, like I have 33 years. You
Yeah.
have spent not just
I get
days
2
in
hours a
bed,
day.
not even just weeks
if
in bed.
that, out of bed.
She hasn't come out of her bedroom sometimes for months. In fact, there's even been years where you have literally been in one room of a house for your life because of the
Correct.
chronic fatigue component of it all. It's
Correct.
exhausting. And you've had to learn to pace and do all those things, haven't you?
Yeah, and people just don't believe it because they don't see it. Now, I know that one day, I mean, I might not even be on this earth anymore. They will find the reason for this.
Yeah.
But sadly, like every other MECFS sufferer, or if I end up with long COVID, which is feeling like it,
And the similarities, the science is now showing the similarities
It's
of post-COVID,
viral.
long COVID
we
with
can't fight the
MECFS.
virals.
And it's the oxygenization of the cells, and that's why you
Yes.
don't have that
I
energy.
don't get the calcium entering into my cells. So this is down to microbiology, guys.
Oh, goodness
Don't
me.
even go there because it's too complex. It's not about taking a calcium tablet. It's talking about getting in the cell.
Yeah.
So when you take say if it's calcium that's not getting into the cells, which is one thing they've picked up with MECFS to date, it is not about taking a calcium tablet. That doesn't enter the cell. That doesn't get into the cell. We're talking about microbiology, not biology. So they're still working on it. I have to wait.
You do,
Just like
unfortunately.
everybody else.
Sadly.
And with COVID, I'm doing my best to be good. Unlike when I had MECFS at 17, 18 and didn't listen to doctor's instructions.
So being good means you have to follow doctor's orders, rest,
And I have been.
eat well,
And I have
sleep,
been.
keep your temperature down.
Well, sleep has been very easy.
Yeah.
I have been oversleeping, guys.
You are my sleeping beauty.
And guess what? As we've just explained, autism and ADHD, you know there's something wrong when I'm oversleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's when you go, we better check to see if she's breathing.
Yeah. Literally, indeed.
So, yeah. So these are my disabilities. So when you see me as a vlogger, and you see me in my bed, no, I'm not lazy. I am simply conserving my energy for that video.
So does that explain why
If you
use...
see me out, it's a big deal and it's a super fun day for me.
Yeah. So explain why you then use a wheelchair.
So I use a wheelchair for multiple reasons. The biggest reason, fatigue. Okay? If I was to go to a shopping centre, and to be honest, if you've got a severe flu, I don't actually recommend it, but picture you got a severe flu, you're on your worst day of the flu, and someone tells you to go to your biggest shopping centre and walk from the beginning of the car park to the other side of the shopping centre just to get a loaf of bread and back again.
Good luck on that.
That's how it feels for me all the time. So, to conserve experiencing fatigue, which sets me back for days. Imagine if you had the flu and you did that with the flu. You'd end up sicker with the flu, right? You might even end up with an infection.
Post-exertional malaise.
Right?
Yep.
So you end up more exhausted, less recovery time, like you'll be longer recovery time. It's the same for me. So It reduces my fatigue. I can achieve more activities. I can stay out longer. I can do more, experience more, live life to the max. And second to that, pain. I get post pain. I don't know what I'm doing in the moment. With loss, Dan loss, you don't know the damage that you're doing as you're doing it.
So what is loss, Dan
I could
loss
do a
for
TikTok dance and you'll go, well, I would never guess that you've got ataxia, which is a walking issue of like, think of the sobriety test, right? I can walk like I'm drunk, but I'm not. It's a neurological condition. But basically, it's like I could do a 1 minute dance, a 2 minute dance, okay? But 3 days, I am in excruciating pain, upping my pain medication because I did that.
Can I ask, when did you first know that you were hypermobile?
3 years old.
What happened then?
I went to calisthenics with my friend next
dancing?
door.
Yeah.
The lady next door and my mother were friends, and they decided, well, my daughter does calisthenics. Would you like to come?
Natural thing.
Now, I actually had a foot that would turn inward. It still does it.
Sickle in, yeah.
I have one foot that sickles in, and dancing has been the best thing for that. So if you have a child that has a sickle foot, even just one of them,
Postural correction improves, yeah.
it's very good. So same with musical theatre, if they have speech problems, very much more fun than speech therapy. Anyway, I went to calisthenics. I was 3 years old. I had the skirt, I had the jiffies. I walked in and I was like a little bit cocky because my grandmother is a qualified imperial, which is the UK version, qualified imperial dance teacher, danced her whole life, was a contortionist, wonderful acrobats, wonderful tap dancer, and to put that in perspective for hypermobile, you need very floppy ankles. The more floppiness, the more sounds you can make in the shorter amount of time, which means you're a good tapper.
And to be an acrobatic, you need to be hypermobile.
You need to be naturally flexible.
Doesn't that say something about genetics and what comes down with families?
So what happened was, I walked into the class, and this was at the beginning of the year, so I wasn't starting off with all the rest of them. They'd been going and going and going. And I was told, and I have a didactic memory, I have a very long-term memory. My family debated since the day I was an adult, you cannot remember that. You were 2 years old. There's no way you can remember that. Someone must have told you, but I don't remember. I was 3 and I walked in and the teachers, there was 2 teachers, and one of them said to me, we are focusing on the splits. We are learning to do the splits. So they took me to a position of the room and they showed me what to do. And I just went into the splits. And every other little girl around me, and this is only with my adult brain thinking back, they're there with their legs apart going,
struggling to get into that struggle, yeah.
They can't get their legs flat, and I'm just flat. So the teacher goes to the other teacher, come over here, look at this. And she comes over and she's like, wow, well, she's got to come back. And then this was the senior teacher she called over, because normally that's how it works. I was a student teacher and I always had senior teachers directing me. So basically, the senior teacher said, can you just put your arms up? And I went, right, like that. She formed my fingers, she pointed my toes, she goes, pretty feet, pretty fingers, and that was that. They basically pulled my mum aside at the end of the class and said she needs to come back.
Now that stepped you into a dance career for the rest of your life.
Well, let me just put it this way. Calisthenics is an Australian-only dance form. So it involves acrobats, ballet, and performance, okay? It includes the stick, which is called a rod. It includes batons. It is a mixture of so many things. You would have to look up, I would recommend Victoria Calisthenics. They're the only ones online that show what calisthenics is. And it is what it is. It has its own syllabus, everything. It's totally different to any dancing. However, you do ballet, calisthenics, it does acrobats, and performance. So basically, they, what was I going to say?
Well, don't let me get you distracted
So
too much.
basically what they say is the only true calisthenic student that, look, entertainment is brutal, okay? It's a bit like modelling. They'll look at you up and down and go, yes, no. Same with ballet. Yes, no.
Yeah, does your
and
body
they're
shape
done.
suit?
They don't care about your feelings. No, they don't care.
It's a bit harsh, aren't they?
So when you walk in the door and you're not flexible, they're like, no, we're done with you. And that's how it works.
So let's bring it back into context
So
to how...
flexibility was everything for calisthenics.
Alright, but let's bring it into context of what Ehlers-Danlos has done to you. Having hypermobility is a positive for dancing in some regards.
But it damages
but with
your
the
body.
collagen, you also
Correct.
then have
Injuries.
elasticity of injuries. And you get
Yes.
subluxations, dislocations, muscle tears,
So
aches and
I
pains.
would have, I would cry at night. It was told by the doctor to my mother, growing pains.
Still hasn't
Then,
grown.
when I was a teenager and I was beginning not only dancing for myself, I was a student teacher. Went to the doctor, pain, stop dancing. And I'm like,
That ain't a solution.
stop breathing? That's not going to happen. So forget him. I'm not going back to him again. So the pain that I suffered, I would come home from, and particularly on a Saturday when I would work from the morning right to my afternoon shift. So basically I'd start off with teaching juniors, intermediate, I'd do seniors, and I'd do advanced seniors. Advanced seniors was a troupe which meant you performed sometimes the next day on a Sunday, on Friday nights, Saturday nights, whatever the venue was. You would perform on top of all of that weekly schedule. So the pain would come in excruciating levels, and I was going through like hormones. I was going through puberty.
Yeah.
I was growing slowly because I was a head height smaller than others. 22Q is a failure to thrive. Yeah. I did not grow, as you can see. I am not a full-grown adult. I am a juvenile in all sizings
Small
of
in
everything.
Stature, thin,
clothes, everything, shoes, the whole lot. So basically, the pain was my indication that something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And I would cry myself to sleep as a teenager.
And to be honest...
And blamed myself, thinking it's just me.
As your partner who's known you for 33 years, I've seen you in constant pain. Now, when we go to, say, a medical clinic or a hospital, they ask you what your pain levels are. And it's a scale of 1 to 10.
It's just 10.
Dyan's level starts the day when she wakes up at 7. Now, you do also have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which is Latin for muscular aches and
that's
pains.
just basically due to EDS.
Yeah, correct.
So fibromyalgia, if you really want to put it this way, it's a symptom of something else.
Yes.
It's not a standalone. If they tell you it is, you need to look further for what's causing your fibromyalgia.
Yeah, definitely.
Correct.
But your starting point when you wake up is at 7. It doesn't take you long for your pain levels to escalate very highly throughout the course of the day.
Correct. And depending on what I'm doing.
Exactly. And look, the walking, so if you were not in a wheelchair or using some sort of mobility device, your walking
pain levels would be higher.
That. The other things that we notice
the pain
with
increases as the day goes on.
Bingo. As the day goes on,
Correct.
you're tighter and tighter and more
I do. I get more
you
and more
already
pain.
pace yourself, and you use things like
I've
your
got a watch.
oximeter to look at your pulse stats.
Yes. So basically, I have this awesome pulsometer, guys. And if you have a fatiguing condition, a heart condition, oh gosh, I don't even know what else it's good for. I guess seizures. When I read mine, I can just be sitting in a car, chilling, and my heart rate can go to 120 beats per minute, and I'm relaxed. It can go to 89% oxygen. I'm breathing normal. I'm not hyperventilating. I'm not having air hunger, which I can get.
Yeah.
It is a very handy tool just to know your own body. Because if you want to get the best out of your days or predict if there's going to be impending strain on your body, seizures possibly.
And I wanted to talk about that because some of the actions that you have, things like ataxia and your balance, when you're walking along and you're suddenly tripping over things,
it's kind of
that
embarrassing.
causes you to strain ankles or knees or hips.
Yes.
If you're having seizures, and particularly things like tonic-clonic or even just Tourette's, because with Tourette's it's a tick. It's not just is it a vocal, but it's a physical tick. You're flinging. You might be clapping, you might be clicking. And these sudden actions can cause a shoulder to sublux or a finger to sublux or a knee or a hip to go.
I actually tear my
intercostal muscles. The muscles between your ribs.
I actually like micro tear them to the point where they burn. And the next day I have to put heat on it. So if you get that, just put heat on it. It burns. Because while I'm in the seizure, my body is doing little and I've got no control. No control. So the pain post-seizure can also be absolutely painful.
Now on top of those things, you have got obviously things like hernias, you've had PCOS.
Haven't I got 3?
You have multiple.
I've got 3 hernias.
Polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS.
Which is settling down because of menopause.
Which is a good thing.
However, I'm not convinced, because I've read studies to say that post-menopause, that it can still play up a little bit. And I have actually had pain, even though I am well and truly past menopause. I have no menopausal symptoms, I have no periods, I am done.
You're partying.
Over a year. I am a free woman. But basically, I still get pain in my ovaries. I still get pain in the lady bits, which I believe I still get cysts. I believe, like I used to, I still believe I have symptoms. And there is studies coming and emerging. This is emerging studies too, by the way. Probably because of people like me saying, I know you say it goes away at menopause, but I'm feeling it.
But you're right about things like cystitis, urethritis, inflammation. All these things are also part of 22q.
Yes.
Now, I talked about neutropenia beforehand, which is where your immune system gets affected. I'm seeing you
it's
move around a lot
at the moment
too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get comfortable, but
it's
mild neutropenia at the moment, but that fluctuates.
Yep.
That was before COVID though.
Yeah, but that means you have been able to pick up, and you're susceptible to picking up the bugs, the viruses of other people's, the colds, the flus and things along the way.
Like that.
And it also takes you a lot longer
to get over it.
Things,
it does.
Doesn't it? Sadly.
It's not fair.
No, it's not really fair.
Why do you have to talk about that?
Well, that's part of the conditions. You've also got things such as neurological issues that go along. That's affecting
MND.
Yep. Neurological
mild neurological
disorder. Yep.
Which, and also my mental age. So I've had in the past a lot of judgments. And I just want to say this, that number one, I am autistic, but that doesn't give you the right to infantilize me with what I'm into. Okay? Collections for autistics.
Special interest, yeah.
Special interest like Lego,
toys,
collecting teddies, like doing friendship bracelets at my age is normal for autism.
Having fidget toys, for example.
I have developmental delays. My mental age is not my chronological age. That has been 15-hour tested by a neuropsychologist. Thank you very much.
Exhaustive
testing. So, if you think you know better than her, I highly doubt it. But anyway, I'm just saying that to the people that challenge people like me online, because you know what it's like, guys, online.
GDD.
People just don't believe anything.
No.
And PDD.
Yeah. GDD, which is global developmental delay, pervasive developmental delays,
Correct.
and intellectual developmental delays are the cornerstone, the foundations, unfortunately, of 22q.
Because
your entire education was affected, wasn't it?
Well, exactly. I couldn't speak to anyone other than family until 11. And I'm talking basic speech. And I'm not talking anxiety. I'm talking I had no clue what was going on in my surroundings and how to engage with it. I was trapped.
And you still use a AAC device now, don't you?
I still use an AAC device with certain people that I do not understand. Yep. Because their level of understanding is way above me, and they refuse, because there's people out there still who are very ableist, even in the world of medical, who don't speak simplistically to me because they look at me chronologically and go, you should know.
They're not making accommodations for you. And coming back to that MND, that means your executive functioning is affected, your memory, your recall. Things need to slow down.
How many times do you remind me to do things?
Absolutely. And your brain sometimes is going offline, and particularly when you're having seizures, like absent seizures, you're literally rebooting the brain for anywhere between 5 to 8 seconds.
Those days, I actually it's really freaky. One indication that I feel I get, and if anyone with absent seizures, please let me know if this is your experience. I notice that pockets of time just fly. And I'm not just talking about, I've been busy today, the day just got away with me. No, I am talking about, I looked at the clock and I feel like it's 10 minutes later and it's been 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it's freaky.
It is freaky, isn't it?
It's freaky. And that's when I know, and that's quite commonly when I have a tonic-clonic either that day or the next day.
These are the preemptive
because absent seizures is my preemptive to a tonic-clonic.
Preemptive for you. Now, in your head, you've also got migraines that occur sometimes on a daily basis.
Migraines and my Tourette's is all correlated to my seizures because my seizure medication, which is Eplim, the most common one, and I'm very lucky that it works for me, it affects my mood, hence why I control my levels of it, which is not in my best interest. It's a conflict of interest there. Don't even go there. Yep. But basically, it controls not only my seizures, but my Tourette's, and it also controls
migraines.
That's it. Migraines. So I used to suffer migraines bad, and this seizure medication, since I've been put on it, the trifecta of those 3 things, I'm so grateful to the medication Eplim, as bad as what the medication is. I'm sorry, it is just been a life changer. Life changing.
Keeping you focused in the head, your eyesight's been affected, your hearing.
Yes, so I'm going to see an ophthalmologist.
Ophthalmologist?
Yes.
The eye doctor.
I've been to an ophthalmologist.
Optometrist,
sorry. For so many times. I've got stigmatism, my eyes have flipped, and I'm pretty sure that's the neurological damage due to seizures, because my Tourette's got worse with the neurological damage of seizures. I had a stutter that came and it's gone, so that was a temporary break in my brain from seizures. And I do believe that my eyesight's affected by my seizures. I think that the fact that I haven't been able to control them yet, because I do think that my neurologist, which is public, she's lazy, and we're trying to navigate through the public system.
Very difficult navigating
in Australia.
It's
terrible.
System, let's be real.
I'm on multiple seizure medications, including CBD oil. However, it needs to be further looked at to see what more concoctions of medications can be added in, because it's not under control.
And especially because your seizures will also cause you things like facial neuropathies, Bell palsy, and even, sadly, you can
swallowing issues,
swallowing dysphagia.
I choke.
But your TODS paralysis sometimes that occurs after seizures. You can be paralysed for hours, not able to move your lower limbs.
Very frustrating when you're busting to go to the toilet.
Very frustrating, full stop, not to be able to function and move. That might be scary for you.
Well, it was at first, but you know what? If anyone's a parent of a child that's disabled, just know this. They don't know any different. I don't know any different. I've gotten used to it.
It's very funny, but you do.
I'm used to it.
Adapt your life to everything.
I'll literally drag myself to the toilet, right? Drag myself to my wheelchair to then wheel. I've got like a wheel, I've got an electric, small, and I've also got the wheelie one. I will do whatever it takes to get to the toilet. I'm very independent. I've got a very stubborn personality, which is good.
She's not stubborn at all.
It is very good, because I will not give in.
You're determined
to anything.
That's so important.
And I will not be passing away in my 50s. Nope. That will not be happening, because
you're a fighter, Rocky.
Family to live for, even though they probably don't appreciate that right now. But I do have family to live for. I do have people to be here for whenever they need me. So that won't be happening. I don't care what the textbooks say, won't be happening.
When did you stop driving and why?
Okay, so I had to stop driving when the seizures became daily. I was running a non-profit at the time and it was making me sicker. Everyone was telling me to quit, and then on the other hand, people were telling me to keep going. That was more the people for selfish reasons, for serving them.
So when you say non-profit, you started your own organisation for women,
Correct.
helping the community. You're the director of a not-for-profit organisation that you created.
That's my credentials. I am a diploma qualified. What do they call it now?
Advocate
the latest community services. That's my expertise. 3 years in psychology. That's my expertise. I also added to my psychology while I was at uni philosophy, religion, sociology, community studies, which is social work, addiction studies. So I know a lot about, and I also worked in the welfare field, which is community services, and I worked in one of the hardest places in my city, the most struggling economic place in Perth, and I learnt, coming from a privileged background myself, without realising I was privileged, because I did mainly grow up in a single mum household. I learnt a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what motivated me for 2 years working there to go to psychology. But my sickness kept me out of work. However, yes, I started my non-profit. The council asked me to help others start non-profits, but my daily seizures took me out of the game.
And that's when you unfortunately.
And that's when I said to you, I will not be driving anymore. And the neurologist has taken it away anyway.
Yeah.
It's
well,
gone.
Look, if you're passing out when you're driving, it's not a good thing, people.
No, it's not.
I'll tell you that for sure.
And I'm happy to not drive in the sense that I don't want to get hurt, and I would never, ever in a million years want to hurt someone else.
So now it's become driving.
I've lost my freedom.
Miss Dyan.
Yeah.
That's my job, isn't it? I'm your chauffeur.
And I'm not a very good backseat driver.
I should put her in the backseat occasionally.
I'd be worse, but yeah, I'd get car sick. But basically, I'm not a very good side street driver. I blame him.
Of course, that's what my job is.
Because with some
here,
other people's driving skills, I don't complain.
I've noticed during this episode of the podcast that some of your word finding has been difficult, and that's part of your MND, mild neurological disorder.
Word finding is very difficult for me.
Like when you get tongue-tied, you'll have sometimes stuttering, but the actual specifics of finding and remembering words is difficult for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And every day can be different, every month can be different. It depends on the seizures. Guys, if I have too many seizures in a week, my brain goes to mush. If I have months of seizures, okay, I'm literally dribbling.
Yeah.
It's actually awful. And at the moment, because of COVID, yes, I've had seizures with the high fevers, absolutely.
Well, 38.5 to 39 degrees, very high fevers.
I've been resting though, severely. So, however, trying to bathe and shower in supported ways even, the strain on my heart, this COVID thing is no joke.
Create context, because of your disability, because of your lack of energy, you don't get to shower and bathe and do even your personal hygiene every single day.
And go out and do some activities.
Sometimes you could be showering every second, third or fourth day.
Correct.
Sometimes you need bed bathing or things like that
and that's
as well.
because the NDS is a little bit slow in getting me a bath.
So the NDS is the National Disability
Just
Insurance Scheme. And
just a bath.
they're the ones who look after those with disabilities and
Just
meant
a
to
bath.
provide
Just want a
things for
bath.
accessibility
Just want a
and
bath.
independence.
Just would like a bath.
We're working on that one, aren't we, Miss? In further podcasts, you might find out a bit more about that exercise. I've noticed you using this a lot. You love your gadgets. You love collecting. That's a very autistic trait.
Isn't this just the most amazing thing you've ever seen?
You are inspired by science.
Anyway, I had an uncle, probably autistic.
Definitely autistic.
Who was my best friend. even though he was my uncle and he was seen as my elder, absolutely, and his son is autistic, whether he likes to think it or not, males are stubborn. He is autistic. I grew up with him like this. He is autistic. But I'm just saying, science was our special interest that we shared. Nikola Tesla lives in my cupboard. I mean, the picture of Nikola Tesla.
So he inspires you as an icon of technology and advancement.
The dude is underestimated, and it's kind of conspiracy.
Why is this starting to become a bit like a Big Bang Theory episode?
Look.
Should I call you Sheldon Cooper?
Look, if you're into science and you want to know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to say anymore. Just look into Nikola Tesla, deep dive into Nikola Tesla.
And beam me up to the ship, Scotty.
No,
Star Trek
and then
reference.
put something in the comments, like a boom or a lightning bolt or something to say, I hear you, sister. I know what you're getting at. Nikola Tesla is very underestimated. I'm not going to say anymore.
Okay. Because this episode of the podcast is talking about giving context, particularly those who've got autism, or maybe ADHD, the comorbidities, coexisting conditions.
Don't be surprised if your autism will one day be contacted and you'll be told, we're going to do some genetic testing for you because there is many different genes, broken genes, basically, chromosomal syndromes that are the reason for your autism. So one day you will have 99.9% proof that you're autistic.
And
now for me, I've had international genetics done. Boom. On top of WA genetics. And I'll tell you this. My family on one side is red, which means highly autistic. And I know what family it is.
DEFCON 5.
I know what family it is because in the country town we lived in, the Quirky Kettles was the nickname. Do I need to say more? Quirky? And also on the, maybe the same side, maybe the other side, because the other side there's a few autistics. But I'll tell you this, Asperger's was in the amber. Amber is like traffic lights. It's like,
for those that don't understand the context, Asperger's, which is normally seen as high functioning autism.
Sorry, and I know why we don't use it. I respect why we don't use it. I don't use it for those reasons. Please know that I know that it's a bad terminology to use.
But it's still important to reference it because it's still language which is out there and some people still identify by that.
But it's also factually faulty logic because a person's needs is very much the spectrum, and you should never say someone is high functioning, low functioning, because I'm telling you right now, those ones that you say they're low functioning, just put them at the back of the classroom. No. I am going to stand up for them and say this. They are smart. Helen Keller? Do you want to talk about Helen Keller? You don't know what's going on in that brain, and they might be geniuses.
Just saying.
Okay, we are all spectrums.
Indeed.
There is no difference. You can
have one more autistic day than another, so it's variable based on the day, the environmental variables. You are affected by sensory related issues, obviously.
Yeah.
Lights.
Yeah. Sound.
Noise. Smell. Touch even. Yeah. Give me a hug, honey. Okay, we'll punch it out.
That's my hugs.
From a distance. Now look,
that's not saying I don't give a hug. That's not saying that.
That's true.
When I feel really...
the need to embrace.
Thank you, mint.
Yeah.
I'm making up my own word. Thank you, mint.
Okay.
Meaning, when I want to thank someone, because I think they're a legend in my life. Yep. They've done something significant for my life.
Legend in their lunchbox.
They've done something great. Friendship bracelets are coming for those people, just like resin pieces that they've all got. But anyway, I'm just saying, those people I would hug. But I'm not a hugger. If you want to go on based on what he's saying, he's right. I'm not someone that's like, I remember going to school, in high school, girls going, hi. I used to be like, being hugged all the time, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do you need to do this every single day? every day.
I know.
Every day is this.
They're a bit needy, aren't they, honey?
Every day. But Tony Atwood says,
the Australian psychologist,
you got to water them, right? You got to water them.
Females.
You got to talk to them nicely, right? Compliment them. Oh, you look lovely today. Look at you, watering you. Okay. Apparently, that's what they need every day. Now, I'd be happy if I just got like one nice thing a week and I'm done. It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
No need for more input. Otherwise, you just make me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
So you do like a lot of quiet time, your own time. You use things like your sensory swing to decompress, to avoid things like meltdowns.
People. It's not that I don't like people.
You do use earplugs and overhead noise cancellation.
I have
you even
vibes, which are
wear
discreet.
sunglasses to avoid the light.
Correct. So sometimes if I go shopping, I might wear my headphones, which is actually quite often. I might even add the sunglasses to it because there's many reasons. I mean, apart from the fact that migraine sufferers don't agree well with UV lights, nor do my seizures. I'm the 5% of photosensitive seizures. So basically, wearing sunglasses I should actually always be doing with
Fluorescent
speech problems. So those lights.
Yep. Fluorescent.
Yeah, those. And basically, I have little discreet vibes that squeeze in there. So say if you go, I don't know, you might be going to a wedding. There's options. If you want to know more about what I'm talking about, just ask. But there's little discreet ones.
That's a good thing to say too. Do use the comments while we're having this conversation. If some of the things that have inspired or made you think a little bit more, ask away. You know, we're here to have a conversation, to engage with you.
And there's a few 22 Qers out there, and I welcome you here.
And quite a few autistics and ADHD is here as well.
Correct, and I welcome you guys too, because I do think that even though, look, I, just like the rest of you, I want a normal life, I want to be a normal vlogger, I want to do all the vlogging things that other vloggers do, because I do not see myself as first disabled, I see myself as a person first.
Person first.
And basically, I also don't want to disrespect myself and others, that us with disability need accommodations, we need respect, we need awareness, and we need to be able to connect on social media just like people who are neurotypical, non-disabled. They have things in common. We have things in common.
Well,
so I'm not going to lie and say I'm like hide my disabilities, but I'm not going to make it the highlight of my channel.
Well, I think it's important to create context. You are neurodivergent.
Absolutely.
You will have good days and bad days. Sometimes, like this COVID strain, you become offline and not available.
Correct.
Sometimes
so I
that
apologise for that.
What you're able to do.
Correct. Like the reason for the lack of posting is purely COVID. I have been hit really hard. Really, really hard. I actually... I don't know. I just didn't think that I'd ever end up getting it because unfortunately I was in a situation where a person was inconsiderate who gave it to me, and that was just without my control. I am normally in environments where they protect me, right? Or I'll protect myself. Yeah. So I was not informed in time. There was no precautions taken by this person. It was just unfortunate. But just to give you some levels, because I know that some people like levels for autism. As a child, I would have been considered level 3. Don't know if I would have been as a younger child than that, level 4. And as an adult, level 2. So if you want to sort of know where I'm at, and my mental age is lower. So for all the haters out there, not you good ones, the haters, the things that I'm into is perfectly normal for an autistic and does not mean that I'm a child. I am not a child. I am an adult. And just because I'm turning 50 but don't have the mental age of 50, that does not mean that you can infantilize me by speaking to me as if I'm a child, because that is disrespectful. And that is ableism, and in Australia it is currently criminal. Just want to state that, and I want you guys to know your rights. If any disability that you have is discriminated in Australia, it is now a criminal offence.
As we wrap up today's episode of our podcast, and the whole idea was to talk more medical, to bring together
and positivity about don't be ashamed of what you were dealt when you were born.
Absolutely.
A lot of us that are disabled were born like this. We had no choice. We're here. I'm a miracle baby. I'm grateful to be turning 50 this year, and I'll be grateful for every year on this earth. I watched a grandfather fight for his life from his 50s. Fight for his life. The joke was he's like a cat, 9 lives, blah, blah, blah. He's always nearly dying.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be the same. I want you to know that just keep pushing the boundaries
You're
safely.
very strong, absolutely.
Okay.
And you're very determined. Look, I've held your life in my hands
first.
a couple of times, and we've been at the worst and we've seen the risks. So you're definitely a fighter. You're definitely incredibly strong. You have so much to offer. You're so motivated. You're inspirational and aspirational at the same time.
This is the only life I know.
Yeah, and look, I'm really proud of you for what you do, who you are, and what you give and you provide. You're a very caring and loving and intelligent lady.
I just want to make a difference in the world because you know what? I've been taken out of a career.
Yeah.
And I know that people think that people with disability get off of life, but I just want to tell you this. With all the passion I had in humanitarian work, I've been robbed of a career.
Yeah, opportunity.
It's not a privilege to not have to work. It's actually horrible. It's actually horrible. I will never know the joy, the pleasure, the accolades of having a career. And so this is why I do this channel as well, is because I want my life to stand for something. And if I can help 1 of you, 2 of you, 10 of you, if I can just be company to anyone out there who is isolated, doesn't even have to be for disability. You could be like, I hope to be one day, a little old lady sitting in my lounge room, having someone come on the TV screen and just entertain me. So
being sociable. This
is my purpose. This is my reason for being on YouTube. This is why I'm here.
Good
this
stuff.
is my career.
Well, you know what? I think it's a really good
I don't
point.
get paid, but I don't care.
No.
This is my career.
I agree. Well, look, I think it's a really good point to bring and conclude today's episode.
We love
We
cats.
do hope that you've enjoyed the information and it's brought you some context to where Dyan is at, what she goes through, what she has gone through, and some of the experiences and similarities between those that have got autism, ADHD, or 22q. Yeah.
I just want to say, this isn't a dedicated disability channel. So when I do vlogging, I would prefer that comments for disability stick to here, which is because we've discussed it.
Yeah, in context to the video.
Unfortunately, and this is a sad fact of disability life in social media, any terminology you need to skew, you need to obscure it because I get penalised.
And this is in the YouTube algorithm specifically. It
So
affects
the
channel
algorithm
and
gets
the promotion of the channel. Yeah.
Correct.
It's important to understand context of it.
Correct. I don't want to be, it's kind of punitive, guys, really.
Absolutely.
And I know that it's ableism, but as you guys know, we are still working towards a better world and getting rid of ableism. But at this stage, we're not there.
Definitely.
So anything that you write in my comments goes in my algorithm and can actually be a negative on my channel. So just be mindful of that. Use a little bit of a tricky word, use a little bit of a replacement word, because I don't want to stop you from having your say.
No,
absolutely not. I don't want to censor you.
Do keep things short though, but just again because of the energy quotient for Dyan, she doesn't have that energy to be able to put lots of content in the written sense.
So I read every comment and I will always show you that by liking it and love hearting it. But if I don't respond, just know that just producing the videos takes a lot out of me. Guys, it's not that I don't care about you as an individual, because every single subscriber, all of you matter, because all of you are my audience.
Absolutely, you're part of our family, and our
Correct.
YouTube online community. Guys, you can help us and you can help our channel by giving us a big thumbs up. So click on that. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe. See more of our content, whether it's a shorts, some of our general day-to-day content,
We're
or
weird.
these longer
We're entertaining.
podcasts. Okay, there's a whole variety on there. If you don't like it, skip on through. Have a look at the other ones. That really helps. As Dyan said, don't forget to write some comments. Keep them short. Keep them targeted to the video specifically, because it helps everybody else create that conversation around the content that's been talked about in that specific video. And the one last thing I will ask you to do is don't forget to share. Share our videos, share our channels with others, your friends,
maybe someone
family,
else might like
people
it.
in your community, and particularly in disability communities, because let's give a chance for us to be found and for us to connect to others, yeah?
Yes. Yes, especially for, you don't have to have 22q syndrome.
Huh?
You can have any syndrome.
Yep.
Any. Because any rare syndrome, we're all in the same boat.
Same
Nobody knows what it is.
Yep.
Everyone says, what's that?
You've got a few different rare diseases, and believe me, it becomes pretty damn hard.
I'm a rare Pokemon card.
You are. Alright guys, on that note, we're going to love you and leave you. We're going to see you in another episode real soon. Don't forget to subscribe, say a like, and stay
See you in the next video.
See you guys. Bye.